Welcome, this is John Hyman from Commercial Real Estate Online. This is another training video for commercial real estate brokerage around the world. This particular topic is all about setting fees in commercial property management. It can be a real problem for some, and of course the tasks in commercial property management, and retail for that matter, are quite involved. So the fees for the process are really important. Now, if you haven't visited us before, please do so at the website, which is commercial-realestate-training.com. So now we'll get on with this program, and hopefully you'll have some ideas regards setting fees in commercial property management. So what can you do here? One of the biggest problems that I see in commercial property management is in setting the correct fees for the services provided. Now, in saying that, some landlords and some properties are very demanding. Now, many agents think that fees in management should only be based on a passing income, a percentage of passing income, or a flat fee against an industry standard. Well, that is the wrong way to do it, because all properties are different, all clients are different, and of course that then puts pressure on the department or the individual manager as to how they're doing their job. So the result can and usually is a property management department that is losing money or is pressured. Of course, that then means no profit coming back from all of the hard work put in. So let's go a bit further here and look at some of the facts. So make no mistake, the work in managing any large and significant commercial or retail property is high. I've had involvement with many large projects over time, and I know that the team in managing such a building needs to be very focused, very skillful, and will be very busy. So the second point here is that top standards should be maintained with good staff and good procedures. Of course, the threat of litigation in property management today is always there, and it is significant. So the property management staff, the team, the systems need to be good. So all of these pressures don't happen when you cut corners on fees charged. When you cut the fees, you lose the quality component in your services. So don't cut the fees. That is the message. Go a bit further. Let's look at the rules. And number 1. Some will say that the base fees are enhanced with leasing fees or sales commissions when the property is sold. So that is the case. But it can be a long time between bonus fees. The department can lose money for a long time. Number 2. You can lose money in operational costs if your property management fee is not accurately set for the service, the landlord, the building, the property, for the time that you commit to the process. And number 3, the base management fee has to be more accurately set. More accurately is important. That is, with due regard for the property, the client, and the situation. So how do you do that? Let's have a look at a few things here. To get your fee predictions and structures correct in commercial property management, the real factor to consider is just how much work the property will require in time and effort over time. It's interesting to note that the building in the photograph here with the sun bouncing off the windows was something that I had involvement with approximately 15 years ago. It's a significant building. It's in Brisbane, Australia. That being said, I had a lot to do with the project and the management team, the leasing, the performance of the asset over time. So my experiences now, and that I'm talking to you about now, are based on things similar to that which I have in the photograph. So I hope you get some further ideas from this. So let's go further and let's look at another how question. When you completely understand the fact, that is the fact of your fee predictions and structures, you can set your fees based on a time component that applies to the property type, the agency, and your location. Of course, buildings of the type in the photograph take a lot of time to manage. A big team, many different issues to control, and also behind all of that will be the landlord requiring specific services. So to go further. So what is the system? Let's start the cost and fee assessment with the cost to run the property management department. It's a good way of looking at things. It sometimes is not approached because people don't understand the logic and the requirement to do that. So when you know the number, it can be compiled from a review of your operational costs and your agency budget. Go a bit further. When you know the cost to operate, you apply a profit margin of say 25% to that operational cost to get a target fee per hour. In other words, you're allowing for your profit on your operational costs. This number is then applied to the amount of management input that is applied to a property on a weekly basis. Now, by management input, I mean the amount of hours per week to manage the property. And you'll say, well, how do you predict that? Well, you can actually do that when you've been in the industry a long time. You can understand how many hours, how many people that management will require for control, for professional service each week. That then becomes an equation. Let's go a bit further. Important fee considerations. Some will ask, how do you assess this time input and expectations to manage a property? As I said before, if you have been in the industry for some time, it's quite easy to do, based on what you see in the property, the tenancy mix, the client, and the local area. So let's go a bit further here. I've actually got an article on the website which we'll just call up now just for you to look at. This is regards the commercial property management portfolio standards for agents, for the things that you need to do in managing a property. I put this article on the website. It's the absolute standards in commercial property management portfolios for agents and brokers. There's many different ideas that you can get here, and you can print the article off, of course. So that is the absolute standards in commercial property management, the portfolios for agents and brokerage. Let's go a bit further. So, important fee considerations. Number one is inspect the property. So you're going to try and review the fee that you should apply to the property to be managed. So you need to inspect the property, understand it, understand everything in the property, the complexity, the customers, the tenants, the people that are going in and out of there every day, the maintenance requirements. The inspection of the property can take time, and there are many different things that should be considered. Let's go to another topic here. Number two, review the leases for critical dates and the churn factor within the leases. By the churn factor, I mean the tenants that are coming and going, the vacancy factors in the building. What are the threats of vacancy? What are the risk factors within the vacancy and the lease profile for the building? Another point, check out the tenancy mix for pressures and changes needed. Some tenants are better than others, and of course some tenants will give you a hard time, and over time they probably should be moved from the building when the lease expires. Go a bit further. Number four, important fee considerations is, in this case, understanding the landlord's requirements. What will the landlord require from you when it comes to information each month, each week, each day even, when it comes to income, expenditure, tenant mix control, meetings, reports. You need to understand that before you can predict your fee. Number five, review the financial history of the building and the performance over time. Now you can get the financial history from the previous managers or from the owner. That history will tell you how complex the building is when it comes to management activity, and that will give you some guidelines for the future. Number six, income and expenditure requirements in property operations. Now it should be said that an older building will generally be more complex and time consuming to manage. Of course there'll be more maintenance issues to look after, so understand the building, its age, its complexity, how it operates, the amount of tenants and customers going to the building every day, because that will impact expenditure. And of course the tenancy mix profile will impact income. Let's go a bit further. Number seven, budget expectations and controls. There should be a budget for the property, of course. That should have been compiled by the owner of the property or the previous managers. Understand the budget expectations and the controls on that budget. Is the budget realistic? Is the property performing well to the budget that is applied to the property when it comes to expenditure? Those questions need to be looked at because a distressed property can sometimes be a result of a poorly managed budget or a poorly managed capital expenditure program. Let's go a bit further to number 8. Vacancy factors will require fixing with new tenants or renewals with sitting tenants. How are you going to do that? So when you look at a new property coming in, you look at the lease exposure, the risk of vacancies, and then you can work with the situation there to make sure that you are filling the vacancies as soon as possible. Number 9, what else do you look at in considering your fee? Well, lease management will be ongoing. That is the tenancy space. understand who's going and who's coming into the property, and lease management will be specific and real for the asset, for the property, for the landlord. Lease management needs to be good. How can you do that? If you've got a lot of tenants in the property, then the tenants and the leases will need to be managed quite well. Hopefully you've got some systems for that and a good property management software program with critical date control. You will need that. Number 10, maintenance expectations and the age of the plant and the equipment. Now, older properties, as I said before, generally create higher operational costs, so consider that as you consider your fee, your time input for the tasks involved in managing the asset. Number 11 will be the customer visits, and this will be applicable in retail shopping centres. The more customers that you have in a property each day, each week, each month will place pressures on operational costs. Of course, the less customers that you have, the pressures will then be on sales, the tenant activity, the sales that the tenants are creating, and of course that will flow through to the tenant's ability to pay the rent. Number 12, property marketing. Again in retail, if it is a shopping centre, you will have a marketing budget there somewhere, and you need to know what that marketing budget is doing, how it's controlled, and what it's creating by way of sales for the property. Number 13, tenant volatility. There can be plenty of volatility in a tenancy mix, and dare I say it, shopping centres tend to be a little bit more volatile than office buildings. However, perhaps I shouldn't generalise, but in saying that, look at the tenancy mix, understand the volatility, how the tenants are interacting, the clusters of tenants, how the tenants are positioned against each other. Go a bit further and look at the tenant management processes that are required for a successful property. By tenant management, that is the interaction, the meetings, the day-to-day interactions with the tenants to keep them on track when it comes to occupancy issues and doing the right thing within the property. Number 15, landlord reporting and communication needs. Now, all landlords are different. Each property will present differences as well. So, look at what the landlord requires, understand how you can provide that information, how much time it will take. Can your software program produce the reports required in income, expenditure, maintenance, and lease management? If you know that you've got a good software program, then I guess you've solved part of the problem. But then you do need to understand the landlord and how demanding they could be when it comes to reporting, and of course how they need to report to their financial people or bankers. So let's look at number 15 here, and that is the property management fees and pitch strategies when you come to converting a new property management. And I put an article here again on the website for you, and you can access this particular article and print it or download it. The topic is realistic commercial property management fees and pitch strategies. So in this article, I put a number of ideas to help you pitch for a property management situation. It's quite special. It's different, of course, in pitching for property management than it is for a leasing or a sales appointment. So this particular article, Realistic Commercial Property Management Fees and Pitch Strategies, will help you with ideas in winning the next management that you may be chasing. And of course, property managers, their tasks, their duties are quite special. Let's go a little bit further here into the next slide. And this is the important fee considerations to recap. Number 1, the things that I've mentioned here will give you a good idea of just how much time is required to manage a property. Time is critical. So from that point on, you simply apply an hourly rate to the equation, and then you work to the hourly rate, you work to your time expectations. If you want to check the industry standard fee against your time allocation process, then do so, as it will give you reasons to accept or adjust the expectations that you have with the property and the client. Important things to consider. Start to think about the fee that you really charge when you manage your property. Going further, and this particular article that I've had in the video here for you, I have put this on the website, and this particular article is fee structures in commercial property management. There is the article there, and again you can print this off. It is available for you to download and study and get some ideas from. That's what it's all about. So that particular article, as I said, is fee structures in commercial property management. So let's go a little bit further here and look at wrapping this up. So my name is John Hyman. I am a commercial real estate coach. And for those that know me well, they understand that I work in sales, leasing, and property management. The website for us is commercial-real-estate-training.com. And don't forget the YouTube channel, and don't forget the iTunes channel. There are plenty of things there for ideas, and they're all free, and they give you plenty of tips, tools, and ideas to relate to commercial property management, sales, leasing, and property management. So let's wrap this one up. This has been a video about setting fees in commercial property management. These big buildings in the photograph all need management strategies. That's where you need to be special, real, and you need to develop your system of management, your control, to work with clients, the buildings, the location, and the asset over time. Real strategies are required. And I've just given you a few when it comes to setting the fee. So it's John Hyman. I'm signing off for now. I'll catch you again very soon online when it comes to commercial property management, sales, leasing, and the strategies behind being very good at a broker or an agent in the industry.